from the Wall Street Journal. American women are giving up on marriage. Major demographic shifts have put men and women on divergent paths. That's left more women resigned to being single. The numbers aren't netting out. The easiest way to explain this phenomenon, men don't want to marry one of their bros. They want to marry someone who complements their life in a way that they cannot, like to provide something in their life they don't. So if there's a woman who is a girl boss and wants to hang out and likes hanging out with the dude and they get along really well and they mesh together, they maybe even hook up, and she's like, I'm going to get that promotion. I'm looking at a $30,000 a year raise if I get this. And I've been competing. The guy's going, that's awesome. I'm really feel for you. You're one of the bros. Now I'm going to find a wife who's going to talk to me about all the kids she wants to have and how she wants to help me start a family because I can't. And so what's happening is that's an oversimplification. But what's really happening is there's a lot of women who are going to make, I got so much crap for this 6 years ago. A New York Post wrote, women are struggling to find men who make as much as they do. And let me just put it simply for all the ladies out there. If you're a 35-year-old woman who makes $50,000 a year, you will not likely find a 35-year-old guy who makes the same as you who's going to date you. Because a 35-year-old guy making $50K a year can go to a 28-year-old woman and take her out on a fancy dinner. Or a 30-year-old guy making $50,000, $60,000 a year is going to be hooking up with 24-year-olds because he's going to get on the dating app, 24-year-old, and say, hop in my car, I got a convertible, and we're going to go to the lake and then get dinner. And she's going to be like, holy crap. So the woman the same age as him, he's like, wow, I can get a younger woman. Men want to date 22-year-olds.
Men should be, instead of all this toxic masculinity nonsense, we should go back to, our society should go back to expecting men to be leaders and to be heads of the family. And then you should marry the woman you fall in love with.
And so once again,
in college,
the issue is
young. And then
most women are not doing those things.
I know, but that's
so
stupid.
I feel like this article is, having not read it, but having just read the summary and the discourse online, is saying that you're saying, Tim, that men don't want these women. But I think this article is saying these are women who make a ton of money, who are like, I will only date a guy who makes as much money as me or more, even though they are very financially secure. And it's so funny to me because, first of all, there is this thing in liberal culture where you have men who also want like overachiever wives. Like it used to be that like doctors would marry nurses and lawyers would marry secretaries. And so you would have this like robust middle class because you would have like one earner and a homemaker. But today, those professionals marry each other. So the doctor is looking for a doctor and the lawyer is marrying a lawyer. So you have these like upper middle class, over-credentialed elites who are like hogging the American dream. And these women are like, if I can't find a guy like that, instead of being like what I think makes sense, which is be like the doctor and be like, hey, I'm financially secure. I can choose a mate based on how funny he is, or like how good in bed he is, or like how nice he is to me, or like.
So what they're saying is that as a 29-year-old woman, she's given up on trying to find a husband. She's going to do everything herself. And this is the trend we're seeing. Career women make the money. And this has given rise to, we call, I guess, black market sperm donors is what they're calling it.
What's a black market sperm donor? Is that like
these women go on Facebook and then make posts saying that they've resigned themselves to being single. And so they want a man to come and inseminate them.
Like Big Lebowski.
So
what?
That they could, yeah.
This is happening?
Yes, on Facebook. And the guys are like, hey, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? Show up, leave, never see her again. Then she has a baby and she's a single mom.
That sucks.
So
I hate the single mom.
But that's largely liberals.
Yeah,
and the guys don't care that they have a kid out there who they don't know.
Guys have been told to step back and to.
Guys have been told that they don't have any say in any of that for so long that dudes have just been like, all right, well, I guess I can't, because they're not allowed to say that they want to keep their baby. They're not allowed to say that they want the woman to have an abortion. They're not allowed to have any say. Remember, if you don't have a cervix, you don't get a say. Men have internalized that, and that's the way that it's been for ages.
In liberal centers, they are aghast when I say these things. I talked about this in 2019 when the New York Post wrote an article about these 35-year-old women who are like, for some reason, I can't find a guy my age who makes the amount of money as me and wants to date me. And I'm like, you guys remember when Tiger Woods had a whole South Park episode made about him? And the South Park episode, they were like, the news reporters are like, we are confused and shocked why wealthy and successful men are having sex with so many young, beautiful women. What's causing this to happen? So these liberal women what I see is happening, and these are all tendencies, not absolutes. There are a ton of successful, famous guys with famous, successful, or not even famous women. There's doctors marrying doctors, and they're not having kids. They're largely not having kids, but they're happy and they found each other. That's fine. But for many of these women, they're going, society told me to get a job. Society told me to get a degree. They told me to get a promotion. They told me to do all these things. I've dedicated all my time and energy to this. Why can't I find a husband? It's like, well, because you dedicated your life to having a career. Because and so did the guy. And now what's going to happen, I'll just put it this way. I have a friend who is a powerful girl boss who will never have a child now. And she never did. And it was because she just kept saying every time, you know, I don't know when I have time because I'm at work. And I'm like, okay, well, you're never going to have a kid. And she's like, well, I'll figure it out eventually. I'm like, no, if your priority every day is going to be your career, you will run out of time. She did.
Well, you have to prioritize love if you want that in your life. And
men don't.
That includes
marriage, women have been
that
told that they should.
And everything that our parents taught us was wrong.
Yeah. Women have been told that they should
told us to go to college. They told us to follow our dreams. They told us not to get married young. They told us, you know, all kinds of ridiculous things. And it was all trash.
They've been telling young women that they should be basing their how they style themselves to attract men on what they want from a man. And men don't want the same thing from women that women want from men.
Also, women have been sold a false bill of goods about exactly what they want from men.
Yes.
But
I will tell you that for sure.
Why are women who are making a lot of money still looking for a provider or a guy who matches
I think that's
them?
hardwired. I think it's hardwired.
Yeah.
Really? That will
Because
never
of
have a situation
biology.
where the woman
Yes,
becomes the
Phil's got
Tiger
it.
Woods and gets to select for other things.
I'm going to put it this way.
It's no mistake that we're
There is actually, I love the idea of a stay-at-home dad because it's a literal impossibility. It
doesn't work.
It is physically impossible because when the woman has the baby, the woman has to feed the baby. Babies can't eat food. They can only drink breast milk. And so this idea that a woman can have a career, have the baby, hand the baby off to the dad and say, I'm going back to work, not possible. The
thing is, after you have a baby, like, you know, I had my son when I was 35, and very shortly I wished I'd had him younger so that I could have another one. And right away, I didn't give a single flying F about my career. I just didn't care.
So
it was not as important.
Here's a harsh reality.
And it's still not as important.
There will never be equality between the sexes. No matter what is done, there will always be some offset simply because if a man says, I want to have a kid, I want to have a kid and I want to have a career, he can find some woman. Maybe there's a career woman and she goes, I have to time the pregnancy right because I have a job. He'll go, nah, I'll just go find a woman who doesn't have to do that. Because I can wait forever. I can have a kid when I'm 80, whatever. So then he finds a woman. She gets pregnant. They're in love. They get married. All legit. And he goes to work. And he is not dealing with pregnancy. He's not dealing with trips to the emergency room or like any kind of... He's not dealing with the changes to his body and the hormonal disruption in any way. And then when it comes time for the wife to have the baby, he needs substantially less time than the woman does after she gives birth. So after giving birth, the woman's going to be bed rest and laying down and taking care of the baby for weeks.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
Men and women are different?
Indeed.
No.
Wow. So that's why they'll never be equal.
So then, why would a man who says, I want a family, choose a 29-year-old career woman when he's going to be like, I don't have the time or energy to negotiate with you on when you're going to be breastfeeding the child or not breastfeeding the child, and he's going to go, I don't want to formula feed the baby. That's not natural.
But Tim, don't you think I have been I feel like when I was coming up, I knew a lot of really awesome girls who were single. And now I feel like I know a lot of really great guys who cannot find a woman. They can't meet women.
I think
because women this is
they would love to, and they can't find a woman. Because
women don't want to be moms anymore.
Right, but you're talking about it like the women are aging out of the marriage market when the truth is they're withholding themselves much younger. Men are you meet these men and they're desperate to find love and they just have no.
So let's start with young guys.
Broken, you know.
So the charts that we've seen over the past several years are that young guys are increasingly staying virgins, struggling to find relationships.
Right.
And this is because of dating apps. I would surmise, I think this is my hypothesis. If you're in college 30 years ago, your dating pool is the women that are in your university. Mm-hmm. You go to parties, you meet a woman, you're like, hey, we both go to UIC, and then you hook up, then you start hanging out together, and then many of these people start getting married. Dating apps come out. Now, what do people do? Well, they don't meet at parties, they swipe on the app. So you're sitting at your friend's house, you're swiping, and you know what? You actually got a phone number the other day. You're 22, and you met this woman while you were in the cafeteria. She's awesome. She was wearing an anime shirt from like a show that you liked. You're both really into it. So cool. And you talked about it, traded numbers, and you text her, hey, we're hanging out in my friend's dorm. We're going to watch that, Miyazaki film you love so much. Why don't you come hang out? And then she goes, oh, that would be super cool. Then she opens Tinder, and the 30-year-old guy who makes $80,000 a year has messaged her saying, hey, what are you doing right now? I can come pick you up. We'll drive to the lake and then go see a movie. There's this really great rooftop bar we can hang out at. What does she pick? Look, I mean, it's a tendency, not an absolute, but she's going to go, hey, dude, rain check on the film. I'm busy tonight. And then she's going to walk outside, jump in the car, 22 years old with a 30-year-old guy. And that's why young men are struggling right now, not completely, but largely. And you can also add in the fact that social media is largely making young guys antisocial and incapable of interacting properly. And then they're competing with 30-year-old guys with money, so they're getting washed out.
But that's always been the case, no? I mean,
no, it hasn't been.
But then that 20-year-old guy could date the 18-year-old girl who's like not going to date the 18-year-old guy.
No, the 18-year-old girl's going to go to the 26, 27-year-old on the dating app.
I had that situation.
But if it's all staggered, like there should be someone for everybody, no?
No.
I
think one of the biggest reasons
50% of men in history didn't make any offspring. 50% of men in all history did not have any offspring. Half of all human males that have ever existed have not reproduced. All women have. So no, it's not as easy.
What is the answer to this?
All women.
It's a huge crisis. Like, what's the answer?
Women need to stop working. The real reason that people used to get married. No, the real reason that most people used to get married was because men were providers. People didn't get married because of love or some BS. Well, it was because men provided for the women, and many women were stuck in marriages with these men. What part of that? About women marrying men because they were providers?
Yes.
I think I'm 100% right.
Women married men because it was social order. It was called enforced monogamy. And so the social order of females was, where are you finding your husband? Who's your husband? When are you getting married? How many kids you had? Women were competing in the social hierarchy by being good moms and homemakers. I did not make this up. Maybe read old Jordan Peterson. Now, people don't like him these days as much. But this is the concept of enforced monogamy.
Suits. Those are bad suits.
The social order of human civilization was you were a spinster and you were insulted and derided as a woman if you were not married with children before you were 30.
Just like in
women also didn't have many other economic opportunities. They weren't. They didn't. 100 years ago that women didn't. They didn't have most economic.
Spinsters. Were women who chose to work instead, and they were insulted for it.
Well, or they didn't choose it; they just got stuck. That happened too.
Right, but the suffragettes and the movement for women's rights and all that were women who wanted to do these things.
Like people get stuck, or like
it happens.
You're with some guy, and then he goes off to war, and he never comes back, and then you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, widows.
Sure, but not widows. You're not a widow. You're like your fiance died.
And women did jobs. They just didn't run industries. And so the issue is
that all started with World War II.
This is, again, this comes up. The left has this clip of me where I say 5 years ago, I'm like, I'm surprised I don't have a family, and it's not me, it's everybody else. And it's a great clip. Have fun with it. But the point of what I was saying was society would not tolerate so many successful bachelor men not having families 50, 60 years ago. You'd be insulted, frowned upon, and questioned. Even in the 90s, people were like, why is that man a bachelor at 45 or 50? Something is wrong. And they'd call you gay for being it.
Right,
when in fact, this guy was a playboy who was a multimillionaire.
And if you wanted to run for office, you had to
had to have a family.
Find something, yeah.
And so what happened is
lady to get with you.
Society started telling women particularly to pursue careers and not family. So men don't have any social pressure from anybody to have a family. If you go back to 100 years ago, if a guy wanted to get him some, the woman said, no, I want a to be married, and the dad would be like, you can't have my daughter, chick shotgun wedding. Now it's the guys. I mean, feminism has largely benefited loser playboys because they get the milk for free without buying the cow. Where it used to be that and all the feminists are getting mad that I said that. Cows, what do you mean? A guy was like, I want a woman.
Didn't you guys see
that?
It started in the 70s already.
Yeah, of course. It did.
But there wasn't such a crisis, I feel like, for young men finding people. Like,
is that crisis
It takes
real?
time to warm up,
dudes
man.
really struggling to. I feel like it's self-prescribed.
Is
like,
that true?
I hear about it a lot.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's real.
I don't think it's
women.
I think it's overwrought, especially on the internet. Like people.
Let's bring this up. Have you guys seen the trend where women wear intentionally ugly clothing and bad makeup?
Yeah, I thought they did that because it was called, socialism.
No, there's an actual trend where women dress in strange, disgusting ways. Pop Culture Crisis was talking about this. There's a video of a woman on TikTok where she's like, a guy called my outfit ugly. Too bad he doesn't realize that I don't dress for guys. I dress for the girls. This has always been the case, and everyone's known this. Women wear makeup for women, not for men. Men tend not to like excessive makeup.
Women, is that true?
I don't wear makeup, really. I wear mascara and a little lipstick.
So do you wear it for women or men?
I wear it for camera.
Let's cite the meme where a woman posted on Twitter, back when it was Twitter, sexism is that a man can wear the same clothes every day, but a woman will get criticized if she wears the same outfit twice. And the guy responded, literally not a single man cares if you wear the same cute dress twice in a row. Women dress for other women. Guys don't know or care. That's why the trope is that guys lie to women. Like, how do I look? They're like, good. Like, what? You're wearing clothes. I don't wear the same thing every day. As long as
tie this to the conversation. How does that fit into the...
Women's social pressure is based on other women. And if the competition among women is, do you have a family and babies? And how's your household? And is your husband good? Then they're striving to have the best husband.
We talk about that too.
Who does?
Women.
Right, indeed. Yeah. And for men, it's how big.
Everything.
Guys are competing on how big is the skyscraper that you built? How tall, how far does your bridge span?
There's a trophy wife phenomenon, right? Men compete on having a hot wife, no?
Well, so I would call it, again, tendencies that for a guy, their dopamine. Let me try it like this. Mm-hmm. When a guy takes a picture of something he likes, he points the camera at it. When a woman takes a picture of something she likes, she selfies with it. Women are more interested in people, and that's not derogatory. And men are more interested in things. So certainly,
that's true, yeah.
Guys want status, and so we're all human, so we do share, and it's bimodal. Women have a tendency towards subjective and men have a tendency towards objective. But that means many men do want to be like, look how awesome my wife is. I'm the best guy. I got the best woman. Mm-hmm. Women aren't doing that anymore with guys. They're saying, I want to have a career. And I can't find a guy who's good enough. I can't have a family. And then younger guys who are available. But, there's a lot more to this. One of the arguments that's brought up often by sociologists is that women, what's attractive to a woman, a component of that is the access to resources and status. And if a woman has set her status at the middle class median, then she's going to be attracted, like you were saying, hardwired, to someone who's making more than her. If the woman is making the same on average as the average guy, all of the men she meets look unappealing. Whereas for men, they're just like, this is a beautiful woman who could be a mom, and the woman's like, I'm not interested in you.
And I think that is exacerbated by the fact that that the Democrats created an economy in which having a college degree was an enormous benefit in the marketplace, in the economy, and women are 15 points more likely to have a college degree, meaning that they have been catapulted to a certain degree, not like in the CEO class, but like in the upper middle class, professional managerial class, they're much more likely to be overrepresented there. And men are more likely to be represented in blue collar work, meaning that they are literally like not going to even.
And because guys are so desperate to hook up, they tolerate women's excesses.
Yes.
Such as we hear about the glass ceiling every day, but no one talks about the glass floor.
Don't forget that women don't know what they want.
The glass floor is that women tend not to work in sewage, tend not to work on oil rigs.
Yeah.
Their workplace mortality is exceptionally low relative to men. And when it comes to office work, women are substantially more likely to get hired at mid-tier levels, whereas men work in the basement, in the gutter.
And guys are jerks for it.
No, but
and men go, whatever you say, you're right about the glass ceiling.
I mean, women don't know what they want either.
No, they don't.
And whatever. I think that matters too. Like, none of us know anything.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.